Coming up on Final Seconds today, Yu Darvish and his struggles. Golden State, Houston, the clash is coming. And we're going to put to rest this who's the GOAT situation. I'm going to back that up with stats and the crazy insane coming up next.
Let's get it. Ball hard, drop 30. Yeah, touchdown and field goals. Make the game worthy. Shoot your lights out, Steph Curry. Final seconds, unfiltered lines blurry. Sports talk radio with the host, Jeff. Black and white stats on the boards, no refs. We all ball, all net field goals. Number one, final seconds of the game. Home run, yeah. Let's talk facts over fiction. Seasonal predictions. Pay attention, listen. Great debate seem to last forever. All stars, Hall of Fame. It's a new era. Knock it out the park, hear the truth. Through the hoops, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth. Great players is the topic. I be on the profit. The contract is king, boy, stop it. Faster than the speed of light, 100-yard dash. Check the scoreboard, it's moving too fast. Slow it down, we give the best insights. If you really want what happened in the game last night, tune in. We heads up, always keep it real. This is talk radio, unfiltered. We unfiltered, yeah. Talk radio, unfiltered. We unfiltered.
What's up, everybody? Hey, we are live. We are live. And this is Final Second Sports Unfiltered on IntellectualRadio.com, iHeartRadio. And we got a lot of different topics that we're going to cover today because there's a lot going on. But first, I want to jump into my Cubs. The Cubs and Yu Darvish. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about Yu Darvish, but when the Cubs were in the process of signing him, I wasn't crazy about the signing. I wasn't, because I watched him in LA and it seemed like he always crumbled to adversity. And when, during the big times of the game, he can't handle the pressure. Now, my whole thing with this is now he was scratched from this week's start against the Marlins simply because the Marlins they hit him all the time. But the Cubs are going to put him on the DL for the flu. I never seen a player to go on the DL for the flu. Now, I was reading an article on this where it says Cubs are going to put him on the DL for the flu. I never seen a player to go on the DL for the flu. Now, I was reading an article on this where it says minutes before Monday night's first pitch, the Cubs routinely announced that they had placed right-hander Yu Darvish on the 10-day disabled list with the parainfluenza virus. This raised eyebrows of everyone who saw a smiling Darvish mingling in the Cubs clubhouse 3 hours earlier before playing catch in the outfield. This never came up during Cubs president Theo Epstein's pregame conversation by the home dugout. Based on how normal Darvish appeared, this was a bigger surprise than the Cubs taking out their frustration 14-2 victory over quadruple A Marlins. They dubbed this man named Flu Darvish because he went out because of the flu. I told everybody when the Cubs were thinking about signing this guy, I understand he has all the pitches. He has great stuff. I get that. I understand all that. But when you had Jake Arrieta, who has did it year in and year out for you, even when he didn't have his best stuff, he never crumbled under the pressure. He never crumbled under the pressure. Now we let him go and we sign Yu Darvish. See, here's my thing going back to this whole analytic thing, where Yu Darvish signing was based purely on analytics. Everybody looked at what he should be, what he would project to be, what type of pitcher he's going to be, because of the good stuff he has and all this. You have to look into the makeup of a man. He could have all the arm talent in the world, but if he can't calm his nerves and get over adversity and overcome these tough situations, he's no good to us. He's no good to us. We let Jake go, who was a bulldog when it came to big time games. I'm sure everybody remember that one game playoff against Pittsburgh. He was a bulldog. He didn't crumble under pressure. And now we got you, Douglas. They're trying to protect his feelings. They know the Marlins hit him hard, so they're trying to protect his feelings. They don't want the Marlins to hurt his feelings even any more than it's already hurt. It's almost like they're trying to take this man's brain and reprogram it so that he can be a good pitcher. Come on now, this stuff is crazy. Why do we take a chance 126 million on a pitcher who's not mentally tough? You gotta be both. You just can't have the projected arm talent and the pitches and everything that goes along with it and don't be mentally tough. It's not going to get you nowhere, because in baseball you're going to face adversity. You're going to face situations where you got to try to, dig yourself out of different innings and things that's going on. Nothing never goes perfect in baseball. And if do we got to look at this every time where he get a couple of people on base or he walks a guy that he thought he struck out, but the ref, the umpire gave him the walk anyway? Are we going to see this guy get frustrated and then he's going to just falter and fold and just start giving up, 5-run innings and all this? That's why analytics is getting on my nerves now. I like the fact of using it, but when you're using it to choose a player who's not even mentally tough, this is just crazy. It's crazy. And you listen to Final Second Sports Unfiltered on Intellectual Radio, iHeartRadio, and now we're getting taglines of they named this guy Flu Darvish, because I never seen a pitcher go on the DL because of the flu. I when it comes to GMs and let's say Theo Epstein, he's one guy I trust. I trust everything that he does. He's a hell of a GM, but president of baseball operations. But Theo and Jed, they need to watch how they use the analytics when it comes to all this. Like I said, you got to go back to the eye test. You have to use your eyes and trust what your eyes are telling you. They've been using the excuse talking about, oh, he struggled because he's tipping his pitches. No, I don't think that's the case. I think it's an excuse. I think this whole thing of him tipping pitches is just an excuse, which is crazy. If that is just an excuse, you got to be better than that. You got to look at the makeup. And now you look at Jake over there in Philly. Jake is being Jake. Jake is doing what Jake always does, which we can really use that right now. But again, like I said, you use your analytics and your love affair with Yu Darvish way back from the past, and that love affair is still there, and that's what made the Cubs bring him on in and pay him the money that they paid him. I'm not a guy that sits and harp on the money and we wasted money on this or we wasted money on that. I don't even care about the money because it don't come out of my pocket. I want to see the guy perform. For this guy not performing is just crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. They better get a shrink, a hypnotist, somebody to come in and take him out of the mindset that he's in, because as soon as he faces any type of trouble, he just folds. He truly just folds, and they got to do something. And that's part of the, and then just the Cubs struggling as a whole. Yeah, they won the last 2 games, but for you to win 5 straight, then you turn around and you lose 5 straight. You got players making errors that shouldn't be making errors. you got all this. Cisco, I see you already jumping in. Golden State in 6, MJ go. We gonna get to that. We gonna get to that. I do appreciate you tuning in though. But the Cubs, like they say, our great players got to start playing like great players. They can't play anything beneath that. They have to start playing like great players. We need production out of everybody. Everybody. And if this rumor is true that we're calling Baltimore about Manny Machado, I pray that they make that happen. I really pray that they make that happen. And Cisco, you're right. Darvish showed that in the World Series. That's why I cannot understand. He showed you who he was, and you flat out ignored it. You flat out just ignored it. Think about it. Why didn't the Dodgers want him back? If the Dodgers knew what he was, because if that wasn't the case, the Dodgers would have made a hard push for him. The Dodgers didn't even make a hard push for him. So just like you said, Cisco, he showed who he is. But the Cubs decided to ignore that, going off of the whole thing of what they always loved about him. And don't get me wrong, he's talented. He's very talented. I mean, his pitches, everything, he's very talented. But if you don't have the mental makeup to go with it, it means nothing. It means nothing. You could give me all the talent in the world, but if I feel pressure and fold, that doesn't make me a great player. That makes me a player with a huge flaw. And right now, Darvish is a player with a huge flaw. And now we got babysit him to keep his mind right so that he just doesn't completely fall apart. He's a professional. We shouldn't have to baby him for that he doesn't completely fall apart. Once again, you listen to Final Second Sports Unfiltered on Intellectual Radio, iHeartRadio. But we're gonna move off of the Cubs. And well, I want my answer Marcus real quick. Mark said Theo was in love with Darvish and always wanted him. And that's what I said. He's always been in love with him. He was always in love with him, and he ignored the fact that he's not mentally tough. He ignored it because he looked at it like, I finally got my opportunity to get him. I'm gonna ignore everything else and I'm gonna go sign this guy because this is what I always wanted to do. But no, Theo, you can't. You're too smart for that. You can't do that. You see, he's not mentally tough. You have to take all that into consideration. You have to. And now you're stuck for the amount of years that you stuck with. And man, as a Cubs fan, I hope he comes up out of it. I hope he comes up out of it. But we will see. But we're going to jump on into the NBA playoffs. And they're calling it the unstoppable force and the immovable object. Everybody's been waiting for this matchup. Everybody's been waiting for the Warriors and the Rockets to match up in this series. Before the games ended last night, I always said I want to see Houston get to the championship because I want to see Chris Paul get a championship. But I don't know how much of a possibility that is. Because when it comes to Golden State and what Golden State does, Houston, I put it like this. This is all going to fall on James Harden. Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul. Chris Paul on the ball no matter what. He's just that type of player. But we have seen James Harden fold. James Harden cannot fold. Not against Golden State. I had pulled up an article. I wanted to read something to you guys. It says, this whole thing started opening night with the Rockets beating the Warriors 122-121 after what appeared to be a Kevin Durant buzzer beater came just after the buzzer. Two more meetings, 124-114 Warriors, and then 116-108 Rockets to win 2 weeks later. So Rockets won the season series 2-1. But after the final regular season meeting in January, the Rockets was feeling themselves a little. Clint Capella told ESPN, "We are the better team." Durant responded the next day and said, quote, "You hear that from guys like Capella. Usually he's catching the ball and laying it up from CP or James Harden. His job isn't hard. When your job isn't hard, you you know you can't just come out there and say bleep like that." So he took a shot back then at Clint Capella and told him that his job isn't even hard, pretty much that he needs to shut up because his job isn't even hard. So, those type of storylines and headlines moving into this series is just going to heat it up even more. But my heart in this series is saying I want Houston to win. My gut is telling me it's going to be Golden State. And I just look at, because Houston has times where they go into, like, they shoot a lot of threes, but they have times where, like, James Harden to go cold and he'll be missing everything. And that's the dangerous part, because when he goes cold, somebody on Golden State is always hot. One thing you don't ever see Steph go cold. You don't see Clay go cold like that. So when you're talking about between Steph, Clay, and Durant, if one of them are cold, the other one is on fire. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a real big problem. What I like about Houston is that James Harden could go to the bench and Chris Paul can run that team just as well or even better when he's on the bench. So that's what I like about when one go out, you always could keep one in, and it's gonna make it interesting. But Golden State, just what they bring to the table with Draymond doing all the dirty work, the ball movement, you know, is Houston's defense good enough to even try to slow them up a little bit? Is it even possible? Golden State has decent defense, which they can slow Houston up. Like I said, I want Houston to win, but it's like my my heart is saying Houston, but my gut is just saying Golden State. And I'm for one that don't want to see Golden State win it again. You call me a Golden State hater. Yeah, I hate every now and then when it comes to Golden State, but it's just the way that I feel, and I'm hoping Houston could get it done, but it's gonna all depend on Harden. It's gonna always depend on Harden. D'Amico chimed in. He said, "Follow your gut. Talk about the GSW defense. Who's guarding who? Harden can't guard guard across the air. That's true, and that's the thing. Golden State defense. Kevin Durant is a much better defender than people give him credit for. We already know Clay is a lockdown defender. Clay could guard anybody. Steph, they hide Steph on defense, but Steph still can hold his own here and there. We all know Draymond is a defender. So that's what it's going to come down to. Who's going to play the better defense? Because when you look at the other side, who's your defenders on Houston? Yeah, you got I'm trying to think of the small forward, but you all know what I'm talking about. Ariza. Ariza, he's the defender. James Harden is not a defender at all. People blow past James Harden all the time. So he's not a defender that you could count when it comes to defenders. You got Chris Paul. Chris Paul plays defense. I have no issues with Chris Paul's game. But then after that, Clint Capella. He's a good big man in the middle. He does protect the rim. It's going to be a great series. It's going to really be a great series. But Harden cannot afford to go cold. If he go cold, it's going to be over. It's going to be over. I'm hoping myself Harden doesn't have one of those cold spells because it's gonna make that series even that much more exciting. Because I think it's gonna be high scoring every night. It's gonna be high scoring every night. It's gonna be who's gonna outscore who. You talking about every game is probably gonna be in the between 110, 120 every game, which is gonna which is gonna be exciting in itself, and which a lot of people can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. We've been talking about this matchup way before this even happened because we knew it was going to happen. But Michael Ward tuned in. He said PJ Tucker and Luke too. Yeah, yeah. Bayamute, yeah, he is a defender. PJ Tucker, he's a defender. So you know what? Maybe we finding more defense on Houston than we thought about, which is going to make it exciting. It's going to make it exciting. It's gonna really take this take this series to a whole nother level, which I'm excited to see. But man, when does the series start? I think it starts on dog. I didn't even get the date when the first game is. Probably about the weekend it's going to start, but it's going to be a good one because Draymond, you know how he is. He's already talking his trash. Draymond is going to be Draymond. He's looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one. You listen to Final Second Sports Unfiltered on Intellectual Radio, iHeartRadio. And just like I said, the storylines in this whole thing, you know, as it go on, you're going to have Chris Paul talking. You're going to have Draymond talking. It's just going to create even more storylines. It's going to make everything even that much more exciting. But you know, the West is where it is right now. The West is what's exciting about NBA basketball. Yeah, we know we got LeBron over in the East and they just swept the Raptors, which I told everybody I do not trust the Raptors. They are a regular season team. They play good in the regular season and they fold in the playoffs. I told everybody that that's what they'll do. And for them to be a number one seed and come in and get swept. You got swept. Indy even took Cleveland to 7 games. And then you, as the number one seed, come in and get swept. I believe it's a mind thing right now with Toronto and against Cleveland. I think it's to the point right now the GM in Toronto has to really consider blowing this thing up. He really have to consider blowing this thing up or hope that LeBron goes to the West because right now it's just something missing. It's something missing when it comes to Toronto that they just can't get over that hump. It's just something missing. Oh, the series starts on Monday. Okay, man. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Monday. So they really got time to prepare for each other. Man, it sucks that we don't got them this weekend, though. Both of them done, but hey, it is. I know they're trying to line it up with the East, so we got to see what Boston does against Philly tonight. But it's like I said, going back to Cleveland. Now, I do have to give Cleveland credit for the fact of Kevin Love and who else been stepping up? Kevin Love, J.R. Smith. They all been stepping up. You know, doing what they need to do. The biggest thing and the difference that Cleveland is playing, that Kevin Love is playing like the old Kevin Love, which they needed him to be. They needed him badly to be the old Kevin Love. And, you know, they actually look pretty good against Toronto. And now I'm wondering, is it Toronto just looks so bad or Cleveland just looks like things are starting to click together for them now? Things are getting better for Cleveland. But it makes you wonder, once Boston finished this series up, what's that matchup going to be like between Cleveland and Boston? Now, Boston been surprising everybody. Do those players have enough to go at LeBron to put LeBron out? I don't think so. I don't think so. I know it's going to be it's going to be way more exciting than what we just went through. It's going to be way more exciting than that. But it's going to be a good one, man. Looking forward to the whole Houston Golden State. You know, I'm even looking forward to what's happening in the East. So we'll see what happens over there for that NBA Finals matchup and however that's going to come together. But I'm a producer laughing at me over here. But, but it's gonna. You didn't threw me off over there laughing at me. But yeah, like I said, that one starts on Monday, and man, we're gonna tune into that. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. But I'm gonna dive on into this next conversation, and this is simply because everybody everybody talks about who's the GOAT. Is it LeBron? Is it Jordan? Which is, I think, it's so disrespectful to even question it. I give LeBron all the credit in the world. He's a great player, but I think it's so disrespectful to even question it. But one of my issues that pisses me off, that they always try to dumb down the Bulls' accomplishments by saying that the Bulls didn't play anybody. Everybody they played was weak. How in the world? See, this comes from a lot of young guys who didn't watch the Bulls back then, who didn't really watch the NBA and how those other teams played. And yeah, I knew KD, I knew you was gonna jump on here and you was gonna say King James and LeBron is the GOAT. But KD, I'm gonna tell you right here, I'm gonna go through some stats. I didn't want to talk about this until I pulled up stats about it. Because that's the thing when it comes to all y'all LeBron lovers, you gotta hit y'all with some stats because y'all do a lot of talking. But let's go back to the 91 finals where the Bulls beat the Lakers 4-1. Now, everybody say, oh, Magic was old, Worthy was old, they played an old team. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at that. Now, in the 91 finals, Jordan was 27 years old. James Worthy was 29. Magic Johnson was 31. So we want to call 31 in NBA years old now? That's what we want to call it? But at the same time, the Lakers had a 58-24 record for the year. And they beat another team that had won over 60 games to get there. But once they get to the finals, we want to call them old. So they was good enough to beat these other teams, but they're old just because Jordan beat them and the Bulls beat them. It's like, come on now, we know. Now, during that year, Magic averaged 19, 20 points a game. James Worthy averaged 22 points a game. They had Byron Scott at 14, 15 points a game. They had Vlade at 12 points a game. So they had Sam Perkins at 14 points a game. People forget about that they had Sam Perkins, plus all the bench players that they had. People don't want to give players credit like a Sam Perkins, who was big for LA with what they did. They don't like to give players like that credit. So they want to discredit all them and say Jordan just had it so easy. The Bulls had it so easy. So if they had it so easy, that year, Jordan averaged 32 points a game. Scotty averaged 17 points a game. Then you had Horace Grant coming in at 13, Bill Cartwright at 10, John Paxson at 9. And we're talking about the starters here. We're talking about the starters here. So y'all want to try to say Magic was old. You know what? I could really beat you up on that one because at one thing, Magic was still playing at a high level. Magic was still playing at a high level. And don't give me this stuff talking about Magic retired the next year. Stop it. And yeah, why did Magic retire? Do you remember why he retired? That's what you need to see. Remember why Magic retired. And then, Mark, you on here talking about LeBron is the best. Mark, I expect more from out of you because you're from my age group. I expect more out of you than this, Mark. You from my age group. Are you serious, man? LeBron is the best? Okay, let's ask this question. And I'm finishing all of these stats today. I'm going down all of these stats. I'm not letting none go unturned. But let me ask you a question. If you down by 1 point and you need that final shot taken, are you giving it to, you know what? Place them in order. Place them in order. 1, 2, and 3. Who you gonna give it to first? Is it gonna be Jordan, Kobe, or LeBron? I want you to place them in order. I guarantee you, if you're gonna sit up and say that last second shot and who you gonna give it to, who's the goal, who you trust, who's clutch, I guarantee you nobody's gonna put LeBron before either one of them. Nobody's putting LeBron before Jordan and Kobe to take a last second shot. That's what the GOAT is. The GOAT is clutch. The GOAT hit these last second shots. And don't come talking to me about LeBron. Look at the buzzer beaters that he did this playoffs. You have to remember, there's a buzzer beater with the score being tied, and then there's a buzzer beater with you being down by points. It's much more comfortable to shoot the ball when the game is tied because if it don't go in, at least you go into overtime. How good are you when you know that you're down by points and you need that shot just to win the game? So everybody talk about LeBron's shots and what he's doing this playoffs. LeBron's having an unbelievable playoffs, but don't call him clutch because he hit a couple shots with the game tied. Show me what LeBron is going to do when he's down. What he's going to do when he's down. And see, I got people talking about right now. I got Shay chimed in. She said Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. I got D'Amico. He said Jordan, Kobe. He said LeBron. See, this is what I'm talking about. Man, if you want to even call and talk about this, call me at 708-223-8995. This. Let's talk about this. How many did Jordan miss? KD, you cannot base a stat on how many did he miss. You just can't do it. You can't say LeBron has more buzzer beaters. Jordan didn't have to be in the situation to have buzzer beaters. You have to be in that situation. So if Jordan didn't have to be in the situation, plus he walked away for 2 years. People tend to forget that. And then people try to throw the stat up to, when Jordan retired, Scottie still won 50-some games the next year. Yeah, he did. But what did Scottie do in 95? They won 47 games. 47. So they were trending down. Then Jordan came back and took them up for 3 more championships. Orlando Magic, he was down in the playoffs when he hit a game winner. Who are we talking about? I see, cuz you're going to tune in, you say Jordan, Steph, and LeBron. I'll take Steph too for a last second shot. Before I give it to LeBron, LeBron is not that clutch player that you can give the ball to him and say, know what? He's going to go hit that shot. Man, Jordan gave you that feeling that whenever he touched that ball at the end, you always felt like he was going to hit the shot. That's just the way you felt. You felt like he was going to hit the shot. And do not talk to me about no Robert Horry. We're not talking about just hitting last second shots. We talking about the greatest of all time. Robert Horry is not the greatest of all time. Robert Horry is Big Shot Bob. That's all he is. That's what they call him. He Big Shot Bob. But Robert Horry is not the greatest player of all time. There was nobody that could stop Jordan. Nobody. They tried. Nobody could stop him. And there's nobody that can stop LeBron. I would give you that. But when we start talking about the GOAT, we start talking about the amount of 50-win teams that LeBron has beat. LeBron has beat 10 50-win teams on his way to his 3 championships. Jordan has beat 20. 20. I'm telling you, man, you get the ball to LeBron in clutch time. He's going to make a better play. KD, leave it alone, man. Leave it alone. LeBron will make a good pass. Yes, he will. He'll make a good pass. But if we're talking about take it and you go get it, LeBron is not clutch like that. Yeah, Mark, I told you too old for this, man. You in my age range. Man, the Jordan book is closed. His career is over. But that's what shows you how much of the GOAT he is, because everybody's still talking about him. Think about that. Everybody's still talking about him. That's what shows you how great he is. He's been retired for how long? And he's still at the top of everybody's conversation. Everybody still want to wear his shoes because he's the GOAT. Y'all act like Jordan only played 6 seasons. No, it's not about the amount of seasons. We talking about what this man did year in and year out. He won 6 championships. Don't even try to act like we could just base him off his championships. Simply because nobody wins a championship every year that they're in the NBA. But he won 6 of them. He won 6. But I'm going to move to some more stats because everybody want to say that these opponents are weak. So now you got 1992 when they played Portland. Everybody say Portland was garbage. Okay, let's go through it. Now we're going to make sure Portland's not old because everybody like to say Portland is old and that everybody's old that Mike played against. So we're going to go Clyde Drexler, 25 points a game. Terry Porter, 18 points a game. Jerome Kersey, 13 points a game. Buck Williams, 11 points a game. Kevin Duckworth, 11 points a game. And the 6th man of the year that year, Cliff Robinson, was scoring 13 points a game. They were averaging 110 points a game that year. The Bulls only averaged a little bit over 100. And then on top of it, their record that year was 57-25. And the Bulls beat them. Now the Bulls was 67-15 that year. And they beat them. So, yeah, we're not going to keep on saying, oh, right? Let's go to the next one. We're going to go to 1993. Phoenix Suns. Everybody like to try to say that Phoenix was garbage. Phoenix was 62-20 that year. 62-20. So you mean to tell me that's a garbage team? You can't up and tell me that's a garbage team that's 62-20. You got Dan Marley, 17 points. Barkley, 26 points. KJ, 17 points. Richard Dumas, 16 points. Danny Ainge was scoring 12 points. You had Tom Chambers at 12 and Cedric Ceballos, another great defender who played defense for these guys, was giving you 13 points a game. They had a complete team, 62-20. But we want to try to downplay them. And that year, the Bulls are only 57-25. But we want to downplay that and say, oh, Phoenix was garbage. Come on now, how are we going to even say that they garbage? Let's be real about this. Let's use our minds on this. Let's take a moment and stop drinking the LeBron Kool-Aid and really look at this whole thing. Let's look at this whole thing because I hate when people try to say that the opponents of the Bulls were soft. So then we're going to go to 1996. I told you I was pulling up stats all day. I had to make sure I'm ready for all y'all comebacks that y'all want to try to have. 1996. This is when Jordan came back after his 2 years off. Seattle Supersonics. They were 64-18. 64-18. But they're a garbage team, right? Everybody saying Seattle was garbage, but they were 64-18. Now, this was the year the Bulls were 72-10. The Bulls were 72-10 this year, but you had GP at 20 points a game. Detlef Schrempf at 18 points a game. Everybody forget about Hersey Hawkins. Hersey Hawkins was a really good NBA player. Hersey Hawkins was at 16 points a game. You had Sean Kemp at 20 points a game. You had Sam Perkins playing for them, scoring 12 points a game. But don't know if everybody want to discredit that. Let me say it again. They were 64-18. 64-18. And at the same time, and don't try to say they was old because GP was 27, Detlef Schrempf was 33, but Hersey Hawkins was 29, Kemp was 26, Sam Perkins was 34. Now, you got to realize, when Jordan played these boys, we talking about from 91 to 96, we talking about 5 years later, Jordan was 32 years old then, playing young boys. And he did it to them, playing young boys. KD, you could laugh about Hersey Hawkins all you want to, but if you look back on the career of Hersey Hawkins was a very good NBA player. I'm not saying he was a star, but he was a very good NBA player. Defender, shooter, everything. Look back on him, because y'all want to discredit everybody. You want to discredit everybody. And like I said, they were 64-18. Remember that. Now, we're going to go to, well, you know, I'm fired up right now, but you listen to Final Second Sports Unfiltered on Intellectual Radio, iHeartRadio. And, I'm so fired up about this. I've been holding this in for like a week now. Because I didn't just want to get on social media and talk about this and everybody going back and forth and you can't get your points across. I wanted to bring stats to this whole thing. Let's bring stats to it. Let's jump into the stat real quick where they say, oh, Jordan had Pippen. He had all this. I just gave you the numbers for Jordan and his teammates. Pippen averaged 22 points one time. One time. All the other times he was averaging in the teens. So Jordan had Pippen. Let's see who LeBron had. LeBron had Kyrie, averaging 28 points a game. LeBron had D-Wade, averaging 26 points a game. LeBron had bona fide future Hall of Fame players with him. LeBron has always asked for more help. He's always asked for more help. Jordan has never went to Jerry Krause and said, give me more help. Jordan used whatever was given to him, and he made them boys better. He made them better. You think you would know who a John Paxson, a Steve Kerr, and all these guys was if it wasn't for Jordan? Come on now, it's because of Jordan he made these players the players that they are. But like I said, let's jump into 1997. Now, when they played Utah, I thought of Utah as one of the hardest finals opponents that we ever had to go up against. Utah was a tough opponent, but everybody want to shoot them down too. Now, in 1997, Utah was 64-18. Y'all talking like they're a 47-win team. They were 64-18. And then you go through their lineup, you got Malone at 28 points a game. You got Stockton at 14 points a game, but he averaged double figures in assists. You got Hornacek at 15 points a game. You had Byron Russell at 11 points a game. Ostertag at 8 points a game, just to give you an extra one, just to throw an extra one in there. And then you had the other bench players like an Antoine Carr, bulldog defender, was averaging 7 points a game. And then the other defender, Shannon Anderson, averaging 6 points a game. This was a Utah team that averaged more points than Bulls did. But y'all want to say, here's the other argument. They say Utah was old. Okay. Karl Malone was 33. Jordan was 33. So doesn't that make it an even? To me, that makes it even. You can't say Utah is old when Jordan is the same damn age. You just can't do it. So y'all got to stop that little excuse of these arguments that y'all want to make talking about somebody's old. LeBron beat the old team. He beat an old Celtics team. He beat an old San Antonio team. Don't give me this stuff. But like I said, they were 64-18. And then remember, these are three-peats. Not a repeat, three-peats. Who else in the NBA has had a three-peat? Give it to me. Tell me right now. Who else got a three-peat? Did LeBron got a three-peat? No, because he only got 3 championships and he didn't win them all at one time. He don't have a three-peat. But everybody wants to say this man is better. Man, LeBron is a great player, but he's not the GOAT. He is not the GOAT. He's never been the GOAT. As long as, man, you got to erase Jordan if you want him to be the GOAT. But I got one more year for you. We're going to jump into 1998. I told y'all I pulled up all my damn stats. I wanted to make sure. 1998. Utah, 62-20. They won 60 games again. But, Earl, they said it garbage, though. They won 62 games, but they say they garbage. Okay, that was the flu. He had the flu game against Utah. The flu game. This man went out and put up 40 in a flu game. LeBron get a hangnail and sit out for 2 games. Mr. Flopper. But, like again, I said, you can't call Utah old because Jordan them, they run the same age. Everybody was a year older. So you talking about 34 in that age. Jordan was 34 years old. You can't call him old. Now, you got Karl Malone at 27 points a game. Hornacek still at 14. John Stockton scoring 12 now. Byron Russell took his average up. He got 9. They had Harold Isley who was scoring 8. And you had Shannon Anderson took his point total. He's scoring 9 points a game. This is what I'm telling y'all. Y'all want to downplay all of these opponents that these championship Bulls teams went through, which is just garbage. So when you try to tell me Utah wasn't good, Seattle wasn't good, Phoenix wasn't good, you talking about out of all of these championships, so out of 6 championships, the Bulls face 4 60-win teams. 4 out of 6 championships, 4 60-win teams. But LeBron is the GOAT. Man, y'all need to let that go. Jordan is the GOAT, always been the GOAT, always will be the GOAT. Always will be GOAT. Y'all killing me with this. That's why everybody could comment. They could say this, they could say that. Bring me stats. I took time to bring you stats. Bring me stats. LeBron got eliminated out of the finals 4-1 twice. 4-1. If he's so, GOATs don't lose 4-1. Come on, somebody talk to me. A GOAT does not lose 4 games to 1 twice. Twice. And one of those times was when he had Dwayne Wade. The GOAT should be able to elevate Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh to another level that you win more than 1 game. 1 game? Come on now, y'all talking crazy, man, about this GOAT nonsense. Y'all know who the GOAT is. Y'all know all these stuff popping up in my Facebook feed. People talking about this don't know what the hell they talking about. Man, look at the stats. Look at the stats. KD, don't give me nothing about Jordan got swept in the first round. That was before they became a championship team. Once they became a championship team, it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Yeah, I do need a drink, Doug. I do. But once they became a championship team, this did not happen. It didn't. So like I said, this is nonsense, man. Y'all know who the GOAT is. Let's not even play these games. Like I said, I got my stats. You want your stats? Go get your stats. Present them to me. Comment. Man, I wish everybody, they on their computers, they typing. They on their phones, they typing right now. I gave you the number. You didn't call in. You didn't call in because if you're going to call in, you better call in with some stats. Call in with some stats. That's the only way you're going to get me to think otherwise about anything. Call in with some stats. All this garbage about Bulls played garbage teams and everybody was sorry and this and that. Man, 460 win teams. 460 win teams. So when we try to say that their opponents was garbage, man, y'all better go back and look. You better go back and look. And on this show today, on Final Second Sports Unfiltered, on Intellectual Radio, iHeartRadio, it has been said, it has been stamped, MJ is the GOAT, and there's no other question about it. If you want to question about it, you want to challenge me, call me. Y'all got my number. Call me. And we could go back and forth about this. Because if you can't prove it to me with stats, don't come at all. But since I'm winding down, I'm about to go into my crazy and insane. My crazy and insane should be people think LeBron is the GOAT. But I ain't gonna even waste my time with that. I could easily make that my crazy and insane. But I'm gonna tell you this. let me woosah a second. We're gonna calm down a minute. Collect my thoughts. But I get passionate about that. I love it though. But my crazy and insane, I got two. The first one is, it says, woman's runny nose turns out to be a brain fluid leak. So in Omaha, Nebraska, when Kendra Jackson first got a runny nose, she thought it was a cold symptom, but it continued for years, along with other symptoms, including coughing, sneezing, and headaches. And she said, everywhere I went, I always had a box of puffs, always stayed in my pocket. It was like a waterfall continuously. Doctors told her it was likely just allergies, but she knew it was more. Now, finally, she has an answer. It was a brain fluid link. Jackson was diagnosed with, so I'm not even going to try to read that word, cerebral spinal fluid leak at Nebraska Medicine. Now, what it came down to, it said, she notes that her symptoms started a couple years after she suffered head trauma in a 2013 car accident, hitting her face on the dashboard before the surgery. She said, before the surgery, I couldn't sleep. I was like a zombie. So she had a car accident and never knew all this time she had a runny nose that she was leaking brain fluid. That's crazy. You know how blessed she is to still have a mind? That's crazy. You got I'm getting cross. You got brain fluid running out of your nose, and you think you just got a cold. So, hey, I'm telling y'all, if something happened to you, any type of trauma, any type of big injuries, man, get yourself checked out, because you just never know what could be going on. You never know what could be going on. But my other crazy and insane, it says, rattlesnake selfie results in a $153,000 medical bill. So some dummy thought he was going to take a selfie with a rattlesnake. This happened in San Diego. I didn't know they had rattlesnakes in San Diego. I should have knew that, but we were in San Diego. I don't want to be nowhere where snakes are. But they said, so for a man in San Diego, getting bitten by a rattlesnake was just the beginning of his problems. The life-threatening encounter was followed by a shocking medical bill for $153,000 for his treatment. Now, they said the anti-venom that they have, depending on the snake, you could get up to 40 and 50 vials of this venom just to take it out of your system. So each vial of anti-venom, is like $2,500. So it took him, I think, like 40 something vials of anti-venom to get it out of his system just to save his life. So when he got the bill just for the pharmacy part, it said $83,341. Insurance covered that? Yeah, okay. So you're talking about $83,000 pharmacy bill for being a dummy and wanting to take a selfie with a rattlesnake. When people are going to realize that, come on, man, stop playing with these wild animals. Just stop playing with these wild animals. Like, I was reading something else where a woman took in 2 kittens she found in the alley. She was in an area where you have a lot of wildlife, and it turned out to be 2 bobcats. She didn't realize that they weren't kittens until she tried to feed them milk, and they started biting her. Try to be a good Samaritan and all that, I get it, but you took bobcats and you put them in your house. But man, those are my crazy insanes. And like I said, calling LeBron the GOAT is crazy and insane. But man, I want to thank all y'all for tuning in. It's been a fiery show. It's been a great show, man. I had a ton of fun. Man, you listen to Final Second Sports Unfiltered on Intellectual Radio. It will be coming up on iHeartRadio. And like I say every week, I'll see you next week.
Let's get it. Ball hard, drop 30. Yeah, touchdown and field goals. Make the game worthy. Shoot your lights out, Steph Curry. Final seconds, unfiltered lines blurry. Sports talk radio with the host, Jeff. Black and white stats on the boards, no refs. We all ball, all net field goals. Number 1, final seconds of the game, home run. Yeah, let's talk facts over fiction. Seasonal predictions, pay attention, listen. Break the base, sing the last forever. All stars, Hall of Fame. It's a new era. Knock it out the park, hear the truth. Through the hoops, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Babe Ruth. Great players, it's the topic. I be on the profit. The contract is king, boy, stop it. Faster than the speed of light, 100-yard dash. Check the scoreboard, it's moving too fast. Slow it. We give the best insights. If you really want what happened in the game last night, tune in. We heads up, always keep it real. This is talk radio, unfiltered.